Welcome back to 5-Minute Bible Study. We are wrapping up the Sermon on the Mount, which is basically a buttload of instructions that we will never be able to do. So let's just read one more and wrap that up today before we move on tomorrow. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teachings, because he had taught as one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law. Let's go. So remember I said the other day that when there's a therefore, you have to see wherefore the therefore is therefore. So he just finished talking about a tree and its fruit, and that not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will get into heaven. He'll say, I never knew you, because maybe you said, Lord, Lord, but you didn't live and look anything like God when you were living. And so he continues that and says, therefore, anyone who hears all these words that he just said and does them, they can say, Lord, Lord, and they will enter heaven, and I will say, I knew you. Come to me, my child, which would be amazing. And I wrote down here a side note that, because he's comparing to a builder, builders have to do research. And so before this builder built on a rock, I'm sure he would have searched for land to build this house, researched if it was solid, and when he tested the rock, or Jesus, he found that that was the best, most trustworthy foundation, and so he decided to put his roots down. And what happens after is life happens, or as people say, shit happened, and that is guaranteed for each of us. And I had written down deaths, illness, bankruptcies, miscarriages, suicides, divorces, loneliness, and depression. All of these and more are the rain coming down. And in some way or another, my life's been touched by those, whether through others. Just last week, my best friend has been diagnosed with cancer. So the rains are coming down real hard. And the stream rising in the story, that's the pressure in life. The winds are the devil's whispers, blowing and beating against us, trying to tear us down. But in this story, because he built on the rock, the house stood. Maybe damaged, maybe needing repair and TLC, but it was not a tear down or a new build. It stood, it did its job. A house's purpose is not to be pretty or whatever. It's to be a place of protection and shelter, and this house did it because it was built on Jesus, who is stronger than any storm that can come. And I found that he moved on to say, but if you hear my words and instructions, but you just go through the motions, you show your face at church, you say grace before a meal or something like that, but you don't decide to do everything on Jesus as your base and your reason and your foundation. Even if you go and actually try other foundations, like trying the sand, and you rely on other bases to keep you strong and to keep you standing. You sit on the rocks on Sunday and you play on the rocks when you say grace before dinner, but you don't build and grow on the rocks. You build your life on things that are always changing and shifting and unstable, these things that can't be counted on. Just my feet in the ocean when I stand on the shore, the sand keeps getting washed out from under me and I keep losing my balance, and that's in 30 seconds, and that's just my feet, not the weight of a house. The exact same storms that came to the guy on the rock came to this guy. The deaths, illness, bankruptcies, marriages, suicides, divorces, loneliness, depression, the rain coming down. And the difference here was that the devil blew it down. And it can blow us down and beat us down easier. We would be a complete teardown, a complete new rebuild, because he tears us down to our foundations because we were never built on anything solid. And it says it's a great crash. It's not even subtle. And when Jesus had finished with all of these hard, long teachings, the people were amazed. And I like that it said that they were amazed because he seemed like someone with authority, not like the other teachers they've been listening to. So there had to even be a difference in the way Jesus came across as confident and strong and knowing what he was talking about. And those other guys must have seemed a little wishy-washy. But that was the lesson I got. And so from now on, we just need to keep building on the rock, right? Okay. Subscribe below.